August 9, 2025. A date that will be remembered as a turning point in North American trade history. The U.S., under President Trump, has unleashed a sweeping trade war, shaking global alliances to their core. Overnight, the world's largest trading relationship has been thrown into turmoil as leaders scramble to respond to a rapidly changing landscape. A 35% tariff on Canadian imports has struck at the heart of Canada's economy, upending decades of close partnership. Factories are halting production, supply chains are disrupted, and thousands of jobs are suddenly at risk. While USMCA goods are technically exempt, the new tariffs are so broad they undermine the agreement's spirit. Legal experts warn that the trust underpinning the deal may be irreparably damaged, and businesses are left in a state of confusion. Ottawa's swift retaliation has only escalated the conflict, throwing cross-border trade into chaos. Protests erupt at border towns and truckers face hours-long delays as new inspections and paperwork snarl the flow of goods. For many Canadians, this feels like a betrayal by a trusted ally. The sense of shock is palpable as families and businesses alike wonder what the future holds. The Trump administration claims the tariffs are about America first, reshoring jobs and punishing unfair trade, but targeting Canada has left experts baffled. Many question whether this move will truly benefit American workers, or simply spark a wave of uncertainty. The move ignores the reality of deeply integrated supply chains, threatening North American competitiveness. Companies on both sides of the border are now forced to reconsider investments and partnerships built over generations. Canada isn't alone. The EU, Japan, and other major economies are also caught in the crossfire, facing new barriers to the U.S. market. South Korea faces 15% tariffs. Switzerland a staggering 39%. Global markets are rattled and investors are bracing for more shocks. Economic policy is now a weapon, and Canada's reliance on the U.S. has become a dangerous liability. The Canadian dollar tumbles and fears of a recession grow. The old rules are gone. Canada must now rethink its economic future. As the dust settles, a new era of uncertainty and opportunity begins. Trump's 35% tariff isn't just a headline. It's hitting Canadian families and businesses hard. Small and medium-sized companies, built on U.S. trade, now face impossible choices: absorb costs, lose competitiveness, or shut down. Layoffs and halted investments are spreading, fueling anxiety nationwide. Retaliatory tariffs mean higher prices on everything from groceries to electronics. Job losses loom, especially in manufacturing and resource communities. The sense of security Canadians once felt is eroding, replaced by frustration and resentment toward the U.S. The crisis has exposed the risks of relying on a single trading partner. Canadians are now debating how to diversify and secure their future. The pain is real, but so is the push for a new economic direction. Under pressure, Canada is considering a bold pivot, joining the BRICS bloc. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, represents huge markets and a growing share of global power. For Canada, BRICS offers a chance to diversify away from U.S. dependence and tap into booming economies. Membership could mean Canadian resources fueling India's growth, or tech expertise boosting Brazil. It's not just about trade. Joining BRICS would give Canada a bigger voice in shaping global rules. But the bloc includes countries with values and interests that often clash with Canada's. Still, the urgency of the crisis is forcing Ottawa to consider new alliances, even if it means tough diplomatic balancing. The potential rewards and risks are too big to ignore. U.S. tariffs have pushed BRICS nations closer, forging a united front against Washington's economic aggression. What began as a series of isolated trade disputes has now evolved into a catalyst for deeper cooperation among these emerging powers. The sense of urgency is palpable, as leaders recognize the need to protect their economies from external shocks and unpredictable policy shifts. India, China, and Brazil are all reeling from steep new tariffs, creating a shared sense of purpose. Factories are feeling the pinch, exporters are scrambling to adapt, and governments are under pressure to find solutions. The economic pain is real, but it's also driving innovation and a renewed commitment to collaboration. The bloc is ramping up intra-BRICS trade and building alternatives to U.S.-dominated financial systems. New trade agreements are being negotiated at a rapid pace, and there's a growing push to settle transactions in local currencies, reducing dependence on the dollar. These efforts are laying the groundwork for a more resilient economic network. The crisis is transforming BRICS from a loose forum into a real alliance, aiming to insulate members from American pressure. What was once a platform for dialogue is now becoming a strategic partnership, with coordinated policies and shared goals. Canada's possible entry would be a game-changer, adding economic heft and legitimacy, and signaling that even U.S. allies are seeking new partners. The prospect of a G7 nation joining BRICS is sending shockwaves through diplomatic circles, raising questions about the future of global alliances. For BRICS, Canada's resources and advanced economy would be a major asset. Its vast reserves of minerals, energy, and agricultural products could help diversify the bloc's supply chains, while its financial expertise would strengthen BRICS's economic infrastructure. The challenge: harmonizing diverse interests to create a true counterweight to U.S. influence. Each member brings unique priorities and perspectives, making consensus building both complex and essential for success. Canada could help bridge gaps, bringing a Western perspective to the bloc. Its experience in multilateral diplomacy and established ties with both East and West could facilitate dialogue and foster trust among members. The global landscape is shifting fast, and Canada's interest in BRICS is electrifying the conversation. Analysts and policymakers worldwide are watching closely, debating the implications for trade, security, and the future of international cooperation. The world is watching to see if this new alliance can reshape the balance of power. As the stakes rise, every move is scrutinized, and the outcome could redefine the rules of global engagement. The stakes have never been higher, and the next chapter in this unfolding story could alter the course of history. Facing an economic crisis, Canada is moving fast on the diplomatic front. Prime Minister Carney is strengthening ties with Mexico, hoping a united USMCA front can counter U.S. pressure. At the same time, Canadian diplomats are quietly reaching out to BRICS nations, exploring deeper cooperation. This pivot is controversial at home, with debates over aligning with authoritarian regimes versus protecting Canadian jobs. The government frames BRICS outreach as pragmatic, not a rejection of old allies. Legal challenges at the WTO are underway, but expectations for quick relief are low. The focus is on proactive diplomacy, diversifying partnerships and preparing Canadians for a new economic reality. Canada's foreign policy is being rewritten in real time. Canada stands at a crossroads: stick with a familiar but now volatile U.S. alliance or embrace the uncertain promise of BRICS. The U.S. partnership brought prosperity, but over-reliance has become a liability. BRICS offers diversification and access to fast-growing markets but comes with political and cultural challenges. Aligning with Russia and China could strain Canada's Western ties and values. The choice isn't just economic, it's about Canada's place in a changing world order. The Trump tariffs have made the risks of staying put clear, making the BRICS option more attractive. Ottawa's debate is no longer theoretical, it's a real-time decision about the nation's future. Canada must decide, endure the pain of the old alliance or take a bold leap into a new global reality. Canada's crisis is part of a global backlash against America's new protectionism. The EU, Japan, and South Korea are also hit, forcing them to rethink their U.S. ties and seek new partners. Corporations are feeling the pain. Toyota faces billions in losses. Swiss jetmaker Pilatus halts U.S. deliveries. Even American firms are suffering. Tariffs are disrupting global supply chains, not just targeting rivals but hurting allies and U.S. companies alike. Specialized markets like Swiss gold and semiconductors are in chaos. The world is seeing a forced de-globalization, with countries forming new alliances to resist U.S. pressure. Instead of isolating rivals, the U.S. has united them in opposition. A broad coalition is emerging, determined to build a system less vulnerable to unilateral U.S. action. The world is holding its breath. Are we seeing a temporary storm or the dawn of a fractured new era? Canada's next move could set the tone for what comes next. Canada's decision on BRICS membership stands as its most consequential foreign policy choice in decades, a turning point that could redefine its place in the world. The stakes are high, and the path forward is uncertain. Joining BRICS would mark a dramatic break from Canada's traditional partnership with the United States, its closest ally and largest trading partner. Such a move risks provoking a fierce backlash from Washington, potentially straining decades of close cooperation and shared interests. Yet the opportunity is immense. Membership could open vast new markets for Canadian goods and services, foster deeper ties with emerging economies, and signal a bold shift toward a multipolar world where power is more evenly distributed. Canadians would likely face short-term pain, job losses, higher prices, and economic uncertainty, as the country adapts to new alliances and trade realities. But the long-term promise is greater economic security, resilience, and a stronger voice on the global stage. Canada's national identity would evolve, seeing itself not just as a North American nation, but as a player in a broader, more interconnected global community. This shift could inspire new confidence and ambition among Canadians. The move could embolden other nations to reconsider their own alliances, accelerating the decline of a US-centric global order and encouraging a more diverse set of voices in international affairs. Two rival blocs may emerge, reshaping global politics, trade, and security for years to come. The world could become more fragmented, but also more balanced. This is more than a trade dispute, it's a symptom of a world in flux, where old certainties are giving way to new realities and shifting alliances. Trump's tariffs, intended to reassert US dominance, may instead accelerate the very multipolar world they sought to prevent, pushing allies to seek new partnerships and alternatives. Canada's choice at this crossroads will define not just its own future, but the future of the global order, shaping the world for generations to come.